Hello and welcome to another day on Cornwall Pocket Farm, where I try and figure out how to live more sustainably on 300 square metres in the city. Well, carrying on from my last video, still got the same dress on. This is straight after the other video. This is the hat that I am working on. So, found this straw hat in a charity shop. I don't know how much it was, probably about $5 I would say, if that, probably, maybe $3 or $5 I would say this hat was. It's a nice big hat. I'll pop it on for you. I quite like the wide brim. I think it's got a little bit of it's quite sort of smart, and it's got a little wedding feel to it, I think. So this hat, when I got it, had a ribbon around it. Well, ribbon, it was a sort of a grosgrain, but it was very faded and it was a bit cheap and tatty. So I took that off, and then I've spent a little bit and ruined my nails just basically picking off the hot glue that was sticking this ribbon on. They just sort of basically put a few dots of hot glue around and then stick the ribbon on. I don't do that with my hats when I trim them. I actually stitch through the straw, what's that? Is it straw? I think it's a straw hat, isn't it? Whatever this is called. Anyway, if you know what this is called, please put it in the comments below. So I just stitch it on. That way, if I want to change the trim, I can. So I've got the glue off, I've got the trim off. I like the style of the hat, I like the shape, and it fits my head, which is actually quite a mean fit because I have a very small head. So if I can find something that fits my head, it's a real win. Okay, so I found that hat. I also went through my stash then. I've got various bits of ribbon and grosgrain and things that have come off, oh, you know, sort of flowers. You know, when you get flowers and it has a bit of trim around it, or a parcel or a package or something. So over the years I've sort of gathered bits, and when I find things in charity shops, again, I basically gather little bits of ribbon and anything I think is nice. So I found this ribbon. I think this goes quite nicely with the dress. Out of all of the ribbons and everything that I had in there, this was sort of the best. So what I need to do first off is to trim this and actually get the ribbon on, get it to the size and stitch it on. This is the hat that I will have in my hat collection so that I can pop it on easily to go out in the sun. It's got a nice wide brim, so really good sun protection. Our sun in New Zealand is incredibly harsh. It hole in the ozone and all the rest of it, but it burns you, it damages your skin. In New Zealand, skin cancer is quite a big issue because of the strength of our sun, so I'll always wear a hat when I go out in the summer, and a nice wide brim like this is really good if it's not too windy. So that will be the main hat. But what I also wanted to do was make a wedding hat, and I found a bunch of sort of silk flowers and bits of these foliage. This is all sort of, well, silk, I don't know if it's silk, probably polyester, you know, but fake flowers basically. I found a bunch of fake flowers in a charity shop for, I think, again, this was like $3 for a bunch of flowers basically. And again, I think this goes quite nicely with the dress. It has this sort of like, I haven't even seen it. It's got like sort of that pink tinge. It's cream but with pink tinges, and I thought it would go nicely with the dress. So all of these flowers essentially had sort of wire that's been covered in plastic. So what I've done for the flowers that I'm going to use is I have chopped off the flower at a shortish length, and then I have stripped the wire, and I don't know if you can see, hopefully you can see this. Is that showing up? Hoping it is. I've basically bent over the wire to create a loop. So then what I can do on my hat is I can put that on the hat, and I can stitch that. I can stitch that onto the hat, which means that that flower then is not going to go anywhere. And then of course I will also sort of stitch around the stem to hold it into the place that I want it. But that way, if I was just to stitch the stem on, it could slip out. But by having a little hook at the end, a little sort of metal loop, I can stitch it in and it won't come out, and then stitching around the stem will stop it coming out of position. And then my idea is to basically sort of stack up all these flowers, make quite a sort of an amazing display of flowers on the side of this hat, and sort of stitch them in. Obviously these stalks bend because they've got wire in them, so I can bend them into the hat so that they go around the hat. And I'm going to do some flowers forward facing and some flowers backwards facing. That way I can hide all of these stalks, so there'll be more flowers in between, if you like. That way I can hide the stalks, and then I will also put a little bit of foliage poked in there as well. So of course the first job to do is to actually get this ribbon onto the hat so that I'm happy with this as a hat with a trim on it, and then I will work on the flowers. Now these I'm just going to stitch on quite simply, not massively secure, because obviously after the wedding I want to be able to just snip these flowers off and then use this hat as normal. But if I really love it with the flowers, I might just wear it with the flowers for a while. So the venue for the wedding is a sort of a countryside restaurant area, but the wedding will be outside in the gardens amongst sort of flowers over sort of arches, and it'll all be very summery and beautiful and floral. So that's why I wanted to sort of go with that whole garden party theme, but I do like a good hat. So I'm going to make like a really over the top flowery hat for the wedding, which of course I'll take off afterwards then for the meal, just wear this dress. And I have tested it for dancing and it works brilliantly. So the skirt flares out, but because it's sort of pleated in, it doesn't come up. It basically sort of makes a wide tulip sort of shape, if you know what I mean. So it's good for dancing, and I won't be showing my underwear, which is always a win. Anyway, I need to get on with this hat now because time is ticking by, and it always takes way longer than you think. I am getting a bit better at trimming hats, but it still takes several hours to get this ribbon on. Well, I'll probably spend more time getting the ribbon on how I want it, because this will be the hat going forward. But then I do need to tack on these flowers. I think it's probably going to be more work than I think. Everything I do it always takes longer and takes much more effort, but you know, I was bound into these things optimistic and thinking, oh yes, I'll just knock that, it'll take no time at all. So we will see. So the first step is to iron the grosgrain, because the ribbon, if you put it into a circle, will sort of stand up and be baggy at the top, and because hats go in like that, you need to sort of iron it into a bit of a curve. So that's the first job. I don't do it on a very hot iron, but the idea is to basically get your grosgrain ribbon and then just gently iron it and trying to encourage it into a sort of curved shape. That way when you put it on the hat, it will sort of sit into the crown properly. So that's the job I'm going to do now. I do find that some steam helps with this as well. The technique really is just to sort of pull it round while ironing it, and just sort of encourage it into a curve. You should sort of end up with something that sort of sits, it's got a little bit of a curve in it when it sits flat. And hopefully that will be enough. Let's do it a little bit more. Okay, so that's done the trick. When I now put it on my hat, it sits flat and there's no sort of baggy bit here up at the top. Right, now what I'm going to do, I think, I've been looking on the internet and I think I'd rather put a bow at the back. I think that might be rather nice. And I've been looking on the internet onto how to tie a nice bow. And apparently it's quite simple, because my bows are always a real mess, but I've decided a bow would be nice. So basically this coming around here gets tucked up underneath, then tightened to the appropriate length, I think. Then you make a sort of a, I think you can probably see this, probably not, but anyway, I shall try and show you. Let me turn you down a little bit so you can see. Okay, hopefully you can see now. So let's start that again. So make the two bits the same length, find the back of your hat. Then essentially this one, I'm doing this one coming over the top. The one that comes over the top gets tucked underneath and sort of tightened to the right length. Then you make a loop from this side and put that over the top and underneath like that. Now clearly somewhere along the lines I have not made my ends even. That's not bad. I think we'll go with that. That's quite attractive, I think. So that what I'm going to do obviously is stitch that through so it can't come out, and then I'm going to trim the ends, and then what I'll do is just tack this with a few invisible stitches just to hold it into the right place. Okay, so what I'm doing now is just getting it down on the hat where I want it and sticking some pins in it. Now, the key trick here, don't put it on your head when you've got the pins in it. I have actually done that. I have learned from experience. Don't put it on your head when you've got all the pins in, because that will hurt. But if we put the pins in like this, it just holds it in place, because what I'm going to do now is just sort of catch a little stitch so that it's sitting in the right place. But I found that actually if you pin it down like this, it can't ride up. Well, it doesn't tend to ride up when you're stitching it, and then you get round to that bit and you think, oh, that's out of place. So I find that just stitching it like that works and holds it in place. Anyway, the eagle-eyed amongst you will have also spotted that I've had my hair done. Yes, in between the last bit of video and this bit of video, I popped out and yeah, and had my hair cut. So yes, you're not going mad. My hair is shorter. Right, so I'm just going to tack those on now. I've got some thread which is the sort of the same colour as the hat, so you really can't, we shouldn't be able to see it from the hat. And I'm just going to sort of just basically tack it here and there. Now on the inside you will see the sort of the thread as it goes around, and then I'll pop out, take a tiny stitch, and then the threads will all be on the inside of the hat. But that won't really matter because nobody sees that. So I'm going to get on and do that. Okay, I have trimmed the hat. Now, could I do that with a hot glue gun? Yes, I could. Would it be quicker? Yes, it would. But I have picked off hot glue so many times on different various hats, and I find stitching it just takes a little bit of time, not that much, and to be honest, I can take it off and I can change it. I can put something else on that if I want to. But I'm quite pleased with that. I've got a nice little bow on the back, and now I have a hat that I think looks quite stylish. Okay, onwards with the daft bit, which is covering it in flowers. Right, so again I'm going to do it with the same thread, and I'm just sort of going to build it up as I go. So I'm not quite sure how this is going to go, and it is getting a bit dark in here, so I might put on my new lights. I have very smart new light now, which I hopefully will bring lots of light into what I'm doing, so I think I'm going to turn that on. Bear with. Well, I have the light here. It's very bright. I have the ability to turn it up and down, but I'm going with full brightness. Now you will not be able to see that because of course when I do the editing I sort of, excuse me, let's put it out of the way. You of course won't be able to see that because when I do the editing I basically sort of zoom up the exposure to try and sort of make it brighter because obviously it can get quite dark. But a lot of light now, so hopefully that's better, and the camera doesn't need to struggle quite as much, so that'll be exciting to see the footage when I've finished. Anyway, let's get back on with the hat. As it was, in case you didn't see it before without the light, it might have been a bit dark. So here we have the hat trimmed as per normal, as I will hopefully wear it out and about. Now we need to get these flowers on. How to do this? I think I'm just going to do flowers on one side because I think if it's all the way around it'll look a bit crazy. I mean, it'll look a bit crazy anyway, but I think it'll look even crazier. So my plan is to, what is my plan? Probably a big one. So I've got lots of different flowers. So essentially there's a sort of a fully open one, there's a sort of a smaller one, then there's a sort of a version that's like a sort of a bigger bud, and then there's a very tight little small bud. So I'm going to try and do something with those to sort of make it look a little bit natural. She says natural. Well, as it can be. Bearing in mind these were from the charity shop as well, so they're not the best flowers, but I think hopefully you just won't look very closely. That's my plan. My plan is that people won't look that closely, they'll just go, hat with flowers on. Okay, I might actually have to fiddle around with this a bit and then bring you back when I've got it sorted. Okay, so I think what I have decided to do is not use the buds. The buds are a little bit weird. So I'm thinking something along those lines. So that's sort of the front. And then I've just used a small one at either end and two big ones in the middle, and then a bit of foliage around it. Now the stalks of the foliage are sticking out, so I still need to do a bit of tidying and sorting it out, and obviously need to stitch it on. So that's the general plan. Can I put it on and show you roughly? Okay. And I think I'm going to wear it with it up like that. So the idea is something like that. She said, that's the plan. Whether I can stitch it on like that, I don't know. But anyway, we're going to try that. Okay. So a few, probably a few needle pricks later and a bit of swearing maybe. Hopefully I will show you this complete. Okay, I have it done. I am quite pleased with that. It's tacked on really badly, but I don't think anything's coming off. Nothing's coming loose, which is the main thing. I'm only going to wear it for sort of, you know, I don't know, a few hours, maybe a couple of hours, and then it comes off. So I'm quite pleased. I think it will go with the dress quite nicely, and it has the sort of the full garden party effect I was going for. So next will be the reveal with the dress and everything.